people is because interest rates were kept low. They were kept artificially below what the marketplace does. In a free market, the interest rates are going up and down all the time based on the demand for capital. I like to think of interest rates the way we think in biology of a term called homeostasis. This is a maintenance of balance. When you eat, your blood sugar rises, your pancreas kicks out insulin, and your blood sugar comes down. It's a homeostatic sort of level. Insulin is kind of like interest rates in the sense that if interest rates had risen naturally after the dot-com crisis and there'd been a recession and interest rates had risen to 7 or 8, it would have dampened the housing market because the housing market's highly dependent on interest rates. But when you artificially keep the interest rates at a certain level for a period of time, you create the boom and bust cycle. And interest rates, as well as the creation of credit through the Federal Reserve, are the prime ways that these boom and bust cycles begin. So they blame capitalism, they blame greed, they blame stupidity. They also blame something called liquidity, lack of liquidity. Liquidity is sort of a code word. Liquidity means we don't have enough inflation. We need more money, okay? Anna Schwartz wrote several of the textbooks with Milton Friedman. She wrote the Monetary History of the United States, and she's like 92, 93 years old, but very with it. They interviewed her recently in the Wall Street Journal. She still goes to her office every day in New York. And she said, Bernanke's got it completely wrong. He's fighting the wrong war. He's still fighting the last war, the Great Depression. He read my book and got it all wrong. The Great Depression, people did take money out of banks and they stuck it in their mattresses. So there was truly liquidity problems. There was not enough money out there for things because they stuck it in their mattress. But this time around, they didn't stick it in their mattress. They stuck it in government bonds. So people went out of the stock market and they went to the safest thing they could. So afraid are people now that they're buying bonds with 0% interest. There's even stories of people buying bonds with less than 0% interest. That is fear, and the fear is out there. But it's not liquidity. She says it's a crisis in the confidence of the asset sheets of commercial companies, commercial paper. They don't trust these the commercial assets, because these people hold derivatives, and they hold these derivatives of mortgages. But the only answer to this is someone needs to sort out the price of things. Someone needs to sort out the price of these derivatives. Only the marketplace can do that. One of the most idiotic notions that was presented in the presidential campaign was McCain saying he would buy all of these mortgages at face value. That is ridiculous. Not only ridiculously expensive, but just bad economics to buy things that are not being valued, to buy them at an overvalued price. Only the marketplace can determine this. And that is one of the answers to this crisis. But we're delaying that because we're bailing all these people out and we're pushing off the ultimate determination of what these derivatives and these mortgages are worth. Also blamed for this crisis has been deregulation. In 1999, Phil Gramm pushed through legislation that the media will tell you is to repeal Glass-Steagall Act, which was an act during the 1930s to regulate what banks could do and how big they could become in branch banking. But when this legislation came up, there were those in Congress who said, if you wanted to repeal it, you could have done it in one page. But it became a 900-page bill, and it became very complicated, and it became what many people described as re-regulation of the market. It wasn't deregulation of the market, it was re-regulation in the sense that it created this whole new arena of derivatives and a market for derivatives. But it wasn't something the market created, it was something that was created through legislation. So in the time of crisis, we cannot accept and we cannot let the pundits tell us that it was capitalism, that it was lack of liquidity, greed, stupidity, lack of regulation. We need to be there, and I think we can as a movement. The one place we own is the internet. You know, we can do great things on the internet. We cannot get on the nightly news, but we can do great things on the internet. And we need to be out there with this information. And it's the only way we can truly get to a point where instead of the Great Depression being blamed on capitalism, or this being blamed on capitalism, and we get more socialism, we can explain that really the root out of this is freedom, liberty, and the free marketplace. There's an image that for people who don't want to read Karl Marx, Adam Smith, Don Mises, and you want one image, or you want one image to show your friends the difference between capitalism and socialism, the difference between an economy with private property and freely fluctuating prices versus a controlled economy. And it's called The Two Koreas at Night. Some of you have probably seen it. It's a satellite photo. And it's a wonderful photo because when you beam a satellite down and you look at a country from outer space, you can see all of the electricity. Just the lights are coming up in brilliance. And when you look at South Korea, the whole southern part of the peninsula is just one big, huge light bulb. And you look across the demilitarized zone, you look to Pyongyang, and it looks like there's one light bulb on in North Korea. I mean, the stark difference between capitalism and socialism. And it's what we need to keep saying, and capitalism shouldn't be a dirty word, profit can't be a dirty word. We need to tell people that this is what drives the economy and that it provides the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. I mean, you can be a humanitarian and believe in socialism and you see poverty and lines and shortages, or you can be a humanitarian and believe in capitalism and see the results that it can bring. I would say that, you know, a few years ago this might all just be an academic discussion, but I think it's more profound now and more immediate. I've never been much of a doomsday or a gloomsayer, but I do believe that when you see people who have lost 50, 60, 70% of their savings daily, my older patients come in and have lost a vast amount of their savings, it is a matter of survival. I think it's also a matter of survival for everyone in this room. Even if you didn't lose your savings, what are you going to do over the next year to protect yourself from this? What will happen? You hear a lot of various opinions about what will happen, and I'm not sure I have all the answers, but I do think that when you throw this much paper at the problem, you will get inflation. And I cannot see that prices will not rise, but I don't see it as an academic question any longer. I see it as a matter of survival. We need to be out there and provide the answers to try to make sure that there is not a disaster in our country. Thank you for having me.